clean that nose out, those sinuses, blow that stuff down the drain. Second thing you can do is what? Do the proteolytic enzymes, do the vitamin C, hit that quercetin level nice and high. Get rid of the things that are fermented in your dietary pattern. Take that probiotic. Make sure that you're extremely well hydrated, by the way. Drink water all day long and keep getting that stuff out of your pores. When your skin is scratching and itching, it's breaking out, and you've got this eczema that just won't go away, don't you think it's time to take some action about it? I think so, because I don't want to live that way. I don't want that elephant sitting on my sinuses. I don't want my ears plugged up so I can't hear anything. I don't want my eyes so bad that I want to rip them out. They're itching all the time. I don't want my skin to, look like somebody parade ground through it. So if you can do something about it, do something about it. Let us help you. All you got to do is reach out, make an appointment with one of my great docs. They're amazing at the work that they do. They truly are. We've got a team that I am humbled by on an ongoing basis, really extraordinarily good people. I walk in and I say, wow, guys, teach me something. And the beauty is that we do go back and forth, and I'm, being a little down that heavy path right now, but these guys are amazing. From the things that we do without drugs, wow, no drugs, no surgery, no steroids, no pain medication, and you can resolve a problem and get your life back. And, I'm not going to tell you that dietary patterns should be used to lose weight. That's not the deal. You can lose weight if you clean your diet up and eat the right things. So let's put it in a different vernacular. That extra 40, 30, 10, 15, 50 some that you have around your body in different places is there just simply because that you're not eating properly. And your body's reacting by putting inflammation, swelling, cortisol into different tissue. But if you start changing things and you had good digestive patterns going on, your microbiome, all the good bacteria in your gut was working, not only would you get rid of all this craziness that's plugging your head up and the itchiness that's going on and the fact that you can't hear squat anymore because you're always irritated. And that's, by the way, one of the reasons that you lose your hearing too, is the allergens out there. But you'd be surprised what comes off the system. You'd be surprised. I want you to go out and be able to walk outside in this weather. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to open the windows and smell the beautiful rain as it begins to clean things up. That's my gift to you. And when I say that, it's truly a gift. It's trying to get you to understand that you can change virtually anything. And don't forget, through Caring for Others, a foundation that we support, we do outside events for your organizations, your churches, your clubs, and so forth. All you got to do is call us, 703-698-7117. And there's absolutely no charge. Remember, I'm here every week for one reason only. I love you all. You have a great day. See you next Saturday. Bye.
WJFN W224EB 92.7 FM Chester, W299DB 107.7 Barnaire, 100.5 FM Goochland, and WJFB.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump says he'd like other countries to help the U.S. open up the Strait of Hormuz.
It's a simple military maneuver. It's relatively safe, but you need a lot of help in the sense of you need ships, you need volume. And NATO could help us, but they so far haven't had the courage to do so. And others could help us, but, we don't use it. At a certain point, it'll open itself.
The president says the U.S. is considering winding down the war in Iran, but other countries should help to guard the Strait of Hormuz. About 20% of all the world's oil passes through it. It's a congressional appeal for sanctions on AI, as Ron Taylor reports.
The White House is laying out a new framework that it wants Congress to use to shape national rules for artificial intelligence without curbing growth in the sector. It wants Congress to preempt state laws it sees as too burdensome. The focus is on protecting children, preventing electricity costs from surging, respecting intellectual property rights, preventing censorship, and educating Americans on using the technology. Ron Taylor reporting.
It's a sign of a changing media landscape as Donna Warder reports on the death of a broadcast institution.
After nearly 100 years, CBS News says it's shutting down its radio news service as part of a round of layoffs. Effective May 22nd, CBS News Radio went on the air September 1927, giving a young William S. Paley a start in the business. As part of the service, Edward R. Murrow broadcast reports from London during World War II. Currently, CBS News provides material to about 700 stations across the country. CBS News editor-in-chief Barry Weiss and President Tom Sabrowski say in a memo to staff that shutting down CBS Radio wasn't an easy decision, but a necessary one. I'm Donna Warder.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
Whether you're preparing for exams, juggling family and career, or just looking to stay sharp as you age, Think Factor is here to help. Created by the same company that makes Relief Factor, Think Factor supports sharper focus, stronger recall, and clearer thinking. It's the natural way to give your brain the daily nutrients it needs for memory, attention, and even vibrant vision. Call 800-4RELIEF. 800, the number 4RELIEF, or visit relieffactor.com to learn more. Look, I was a little bit skeptical. I started taking Think Factor. After a few weeks, wow, my memory, my focus, my concentration, better than ever. And Think Factor results get better the longer it's taken.
8 o'clock just got sweeter. Patsies, there's no sucking up here. Grab your binkies, grab your little blankie. You're about to get a shot of America first.
Say hello to my little friend!
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah, no thanks. Canada can be last. Until it's a state. Then it naturally becomes first.
But you don't say that.
So why don't you stick that in your pipe and smoke it, soy boy?
And I'm a knucklehead at times.
Like full-time. Killer Carl!
All right, happy Saturday morning here on the Killer Carl radio show, broadcasting from beautiful downtown Allentown, Pennsylvania, from the Iron Bean Coffee Studios on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Now, well, there's some news happening, right? So we have President Trump taking sanctions off of Iranian oil floating in the Mediterranean Ocean right now. And we have the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit traveling from San Diego to the Middle East aboard an amphibious assault ship. But we're going to wind things down. Now, this morning we have Jacob joining us from Beyond Detox, and I believe Jake Lang was going to join us. I don't know. Tyler, let me know if he pops in. But we have lots of situations going on. We have, illegal aliens able to vote in D.C. Tyler, I don't know if we have that clip that I gave you from Tom Fitton explaining. I don't know how this works, folks. The fact that you have foreigners being able to vote in Washington, D.C. boggles my mind. If you want to chime in on any of this, just give us a call, 888-480-5646, 888-480-5646. We got Jacob, Tyler?
Yes, sir. We're bringing him in now.
Did Jake log on yet?
Not yet.
All right. We'll see if he does. I know he's in Texas, so hopefully he didn't get the time change wrong. Jacob, how you doing, man?
Hey, good morning.
All right, we got my man Jacob from Beyond Detox here. Now, listen, there's a lot of people that have medical illnesses. They go to the doctor nonstop, right? They go to the doctor nonstop, and they never get results. Well, you want to get results, you're going to go see my man Jacob here, and you're going to go to beyonddetox.com/Killer Carl, right? And you're going to be able to get a 5% discount and book a 15-minute consultation with Jacob here to take care of anything that's ailing you. Now, you've helped my friend James and you've helped my friend Murphy, right? Mm-hmm. Get much better. James is, you can see him on Panic and Rehab. You can see he's sharp as a tack every morning, 5 a.m. on YouTube with Tyler and my man T. Skillet, right? So, Jacob, what's going on, brother?
Well, So like I said before, we are currently doing a lot of expansion. On our website, we've added a whole lot of new articles. This is for the layperson's education. You can clearly see in America, we've got a ton of misinformation, disinformation, and overall a huge lack of information about health. What does it mean to be healthy? How does a person go from a sick state to a healthy state? And I've even mentioned to you before, it seems like my job every day is just to help people to stop from, inadvertently killing themselves.
Well, and
whether it's simple things like water or whether it's doing big detoxes like parasites or just tell people there's so many toxins, how do we get this stuff out? We can't quit putting band-aids on people's health. We've actually got to remove those root causes, and then the body naturally will just start getting better on its own. As you can see with James and Murphy, we just started at the very beginning, and already they're getting a huge benefit in their health that they can tell. Like I said, it's just the beginning.
Yeah, well, and James has told me that he's sleeping better. He can breathe better. He thinks clearer, right? And it's just, you just put him on a simple protocol, right? With some hydroxygen and I think you said somewhat binders, right? To remove some of those toxins.
Yeah. Start grabbing those poisons that most people can't get out themselves anymore that cause a huge burden. Mold, parasites, chemicals, heavy metals, you name it. That's always a part in everybody's health problems. But where's your doctor running labs that can actually show you that? Where's the doctor giving you the right things to actually pull this stuff out where you can feel a difference? Mentally too. It's not just physically. It deals with a lot of mental and emotional problems as well. So we're tackling all that as a matter of course with folks, and the results that you tend to see people get it's impressive.
Well, and that's the thing, your body health also has a lot to do with your mental health. And, let's be honest, we're barraged by negativity every single day, right? And, spiritually, physically, just for instance, look what's going on in the world right now. I mean, we have this the war going on in Iran. We have Bibi, right? We have Benjamin Netanyahu saying that Genghis Khan, Jesus Christ can't beat Genghis Khan, and all this negativity attacking us spiritually, mentally, and physically. And part of getting yourself clear is ridding yourself of those toxins and stuff in your body, and helping you think clear, because once your brain is functioning properly, which your whole body has to function properly in order for your brain to function properly, correct?
Exactly.
Right?
It's not a separate organ. It's kind of like the final stage of everything else working properly. Then the brain and the nervous system will start to work properly. And if only we knew that, you'd have a lot, I would think, better outcomes with Alzheimer's, dementia, any of those neurological problems. Because you know what, I've been there personally, so I know how a lot of this stuff works, and I've undone a lot of this stuff in my own body. Happens for a lot of other people too.
Yeah, it's amazing. I got to tell you, I use the hydroxygen, right? So, and I love it. I think I told you, I told you that I had. Me being somebody that hurts myself, I could hurt myself no matter what I do. Walking up the steps, I'll hurt myself. I'll trip up the steps. I had a piece of wood fly off a saw and smack me in the shin. Remember I was telling you about that the other night? Yeah. And it was killing me. So I took some of that hydroxygen like you told me, and I just topically used it. And wouldn't you know, the next day, I did it before I went to bed, because the body, from what I understand, tends to do most of its healing at night while you're sleeping, right?
Night, yeah.
So I did it at night, and man, the next day it was like nothing happened. The bruising actually started to go away. It was bruised, black and blue, and that yellow, disgusting color you get around the bruise. Started to all dissipate, and now it's like $1 million. I would have never known it happened. And it was killing me for days, to be honest.
It's almost unbelievable how a lot of this stuff works. And, our office and our store is stocked full of things like this. A lot of these things too, public can't get. I mean, they're practitioner only formulas for a reason. It's like a double-edged sword. The stuff works. and stuff really works. So, we do put things where people can do on their own. Like we've got our parasite cleanses that people can do in multiple stages, depending on where they're starting at. But, you get a lot of folks that'll DIY things. And we do kind of put some parameters on so people can safely do that. But, always you're going to get the best mileage when you work with somebody, because again, these are very strong, powerful substances that have the ability to not just be a band-aid to support you, but also to raise that bar, like take you back to not just baseline where you don't have symptoms, but where you actually get into a peak health. So we do this stuff for athletes. We do this stuff for people who are really sick with decades of chronic or autoimmune conditions. We're doing it for a purpose too, because there's no way that we're going to be able to survive or thrive in this world, in politics, in our own economy, if we're so sick. And that's where everybody is. I mean, that is that's the destiny for all Americans right now, is to be 1 foot in the grave with some type of, long-term disease, or if you just look at what cancer rates, I think either, depending on what it is, 1 in 10, 1 in 4, 1 in 2, that's unheard of, especially 100 years ago.
It's almost like they want us to have a lifestyle of dependency, either dependency on government, dependency on big pharma, right? And part of that dependency is having you sick and a weak mind, right? So that they can bend you to their will, because the healthy human loves freedom. They love independence, right? You can always tell that the healthy people, because they're very independent, very clear thought, and very self-governed, right? It's the people that are sick. Right. Yeah, it's the people that are sick that are always looking for someone to tell them what to do, more government intervention in their lives.
Yeah, traumatized and suggestible. That's what chronic illness will tend to do to people. And then you start to look at how much of your advertising, marketing is, become very predatory, where it's designed to play on that. So, they live, obey, consume. That seems to be what, we could argue whether or not how this came about, if it's nefarious or if it's just incompetence, but that's what we're seeing every day now. And that's what I'm seeing a lot with people's health. And when you try to either show them or we mentioned this before, I've got people I work with, and they'll get referrals or they'll talk to their own family, and their own family won't believe them. They'll see the evidence of the health that they've that these people have gotten. And there's just a mental barrier there. It's like, it can't work, or it won't work for me. So you're always dealing with people's lack of belief. I mean, open up the New Testament and read it, and it's similar to that. People just can't believe because they're already got a baked in worldview that it won't budge. Well, it won't change.
Yeah, it's almost in a way like natural selection, right? Where other countries that are predators are trying to weaken Americans and weaken our country so they can pick us off, right? Just like the predator does in the wild. We're being flooded. I mean, look.
I think we got Carl froze on us.
Yeah, I think so.
It's the Jacob Radio Show now.
Well, until he comes back, I'll just go off of what he was saying. Is you do have America in a weakened state where people or other countries can see it. They're going to come in. America has something that everybody wants. For the longest time, it's always been freedom. And then for those who kind of hate that idea, whether you're talking about your Marxist, communist, socialist, fascist, whatever you want to say, you've got people that envy that, and they want to break this experiment. They want to break the idea of freedom. And one way that you can do that with folks is you disengage their mind, you sabotage their health, and you promote all sorts of things like sex, war, violence, and kindergartens, and you break away kids from their parents, so you lose your heritage and tradition. All of this is a war for your mind. And it's an assault, starts on your health. You cannot, it's hard to break a strong man.
All right, I think I'm back.
There you go.
All right, look at that. The magic of technology.
Look at that. Jacob saved your ass.
Thank you, Jacob. Well, you would have just done it for me.
It's a good thing he's so smart.
I know, right? And it's funny how I missed some of what you were saying. It's funny to me how we fall into that that aspect of doing the easy things, right? We were talking a little bit about this, like per se, going to a fast food restaurant, filling our bodies full of garbage because it's easy, rather than sit down and make a home cooked meal with fresh vegetables, fresh meat. But we pack our bodies full of this junk, and then we wonder why we're sick, obese, and we have diabetes, and our minds aren't functioning properly.
Yeah, it's a convenience trap, and it really is a trap. It's a snare that's been laid before us. One problem I have with a lot of folks I work with is they don't know how to cook. They don't know how to eat. They don't know what to eat. When you have such a lack of basic education, it's scary. You think, how did we get here?
Well, we got here by the demise of the nuclear family. Just think about it. When we were kids, we'd come home from school. Mom would be home. She'd make us dinner. She'd help us with our homework, right? We'd sit down. We'd have a meal as a family together. And we no longer have that. We have a society where mom is too worried about going and getting Botox and lip injections so she can get a promotion at work. Right? Brings home food for little Timmy, who's in the basement on his video game, talking to God knows who, turning into a fairy or a transgender, being convinced that he was born in the wrong body. And
man, grooming them in those online, we'll just say certain online forums. Carl, there was something I wanted to just mention real quick to that point, because when you're talking about breaking the nuclear family, you're also talking about this idea of getting a two income household, because that plays with it too. And when I work with folks, we're not only working with their body, we're also healing the mind. And I've got this one person in particular that this is happening with. Again, when you get people healthy and you give them the energy, they will start to care and be able to see more clearly what their destiny or their calling is. And what I mean by that is people find themselves in terrible dead-end jobs. Our society sold them an idea, go work for somebody. For some people that works, but for a lot of people, it becomes a hamster wheel. When you get people healthy, not only do they have enough energy to go out and make more money and make better decisions and do things that they can actually grow money rather than just, trade it for time. You don't see sick people doing that. People get stuck in a fear state, and they'll stay in jobs because of health insurance rather than a better paycheck.
Yeah.
So your health is so important because it's going to dictate all these different things you never thought of. Your destiny, get stuck in a place relying on insurance and a dead-end job. That's no way to live, man. That's existence, and it rots you from the inside out. It kills the soul.
Yeah. 100%. And that's the thing, people have gravitated away from being thankful for the things that we have, even if it's little, right? The little things we have in life. And we've created a society of we need more. We think more is better, more food, more money, more clothing, and we teach that to our kids. Yes, cars, everything. Everything's got to be bigger and better, right? And marketing, right, is how we've gotten. It's almost like we've hypnotized a nation and taking them away from a life of happiness through simple ways and simple ways of living, to complicating things, confusing people, and dragging them in and hypnotizing them into believing that happiness comes through more money, better career, and that's not where true happiness comes from, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, everything you just said. There's no idea of God.
Yes,
this is all self-serving, hedonistic pleasure, material pleasure. And that's one of the big things that we focus on with people's health. We say it does no good for the body to heal if the soul is going to wind up in hell. So we always help people with spirit. Well, it's just a fact.
Well, you put it that way. I mean,
Yeah. So, Carl, you know me, I'm a very spiritual, religious man. And, so we have to recognize that as the central part. When people don't have a purpose, they lose their purpose. They're just existing through life. Again, that will rot the soul that you cannot out supplement, out medicate, or outdo. That is a part of our nature that has to be addressed as well. And to that end, we do that in our own ways. So not only do we do things that can balance people's emotions, can undo trauma, whether it's our neurofeedback or even some of the supplements we sell at our online store that are frequency based, that do balance emotions in people, and that's a real godsend for a lot of people. But it's an aspect of health that we have to talk about.
When you say frequency based, a lot of people don't realize that frequency can change the structure of water, right? A lot of people don't realize what frequencies, what the effects they actually have on your body. Can you go into that a little bit? Just because I think people don't realize the power of frequency, even the power of the music you listen to.
Exactly. So I'll just say this. The entire universe is a bunch of resonating frequencies or energetic fields. They contain information and they resonate, or they talk to and have an effect on your cells, on everything. An opera singer who sings Crystal Glass hits a certain frequency, it resonates at the structure and causes it to explode. Okay, well, frequencies do that same thing to cells as well. And depending on the tuning of that frequency, can either tell the cell, could be healing for the cell, or it can blow it up. So you have like 5G or wireless stuff that will blow up cells in your body. It will damage their structure or cause them to explode, or in extreme cases. Or like red light therapy. We have infrared therapy, infrared saunas, infrared light. That is a frequency that communicates to your cells. It heals them. The energy is good signals. It's biocompatible. These strange words. All it says is that your cells actually can use them, and it causes good effects to happen. All your food is the same way. All supplements are the same way. And then we have certain special supplements that have frequencies imprinted into them to elicit that result. So when you bathe yourself in certain forms of light or in certain forms of music, how it's tuned, all of these have a therapeutic effect on the body that go beyond what the Western mind looks at as merely chemicals. Because I will tell you, frequency in the field is primary, and it determines how a particle reacts. So everything in nature is fundamentally energetic. It's frequency based. Even your food, your supplements, your thoughts, everything.
Yeah, and you can go back to the Old Testament and see how frequency was used.
You can, and the breastplate stones for the high priest. Plenty of stuff, even built in nature. When you go walk out in nature, it's funny, man. I'm not a tree hugger. It's funny, make fun of those guys. But when
you're not a tree hugger, are you? Come on.
Well, no. But it's funny when you get out into nature. It's the very fact that the ground you walk on, the trees that are there, all of that, they're emitting frequencies. It's not just, you're breathing in fresher air because the trees are producing air out of carbon dioxide. It's the fact that between the birds you hear, between the magnetic fields of the ground and all the living organisms there, you're bathing yourself in these biocompatible frequencies, almost like God designed it that way.
Yeah, imagine
and people
that.
get a lot of healing when they get out. But when you live in the city, you've got all of this low-level rumbling from cars, from construction, from all the tenants having Wi-Fi everywhere. You're getting frequency pollution that tends to harm the body, and it builds up. So that's why people feel better when they get out into nature, because not only are those bad signals gone, but they're actually bathing in healing frequencies. Same way when you're by the ocean, you get a bunch of negative ions and other frequencies and other things that just help rebalance the body.
I can tell you
and we
what,
have a lot of stuff in our supplements.
I can tell you what frequency does not work. 3 o'clock in the morning, Spanish music blasting from a car for an hour and a half, that wakes you up. That frequency is not good. And I experienced that last night. I experienced that last night.
Hershey hurts.
And it woke me up, and I was not happy. But that's not good frequency. But I've recovered from that because, well, I listened to a little bit of good music this morning when I woke up, try to recover a little sleep that I lost. You know, you just can't. When you wake up in the middle of the night, when you're woken up out of a sleep, it's like the whole day you feel almost clouded in a way. Why is that,
Yep.
Jacob? Why is that?
Your brain does a lot of
Yes. Hey, how did you know? But it needs more bass. I swear to God, I'm laying in bed. Hey, let me just tell this story. I'm laying in bed and I'm sleeping, man. I'm out, right? I had a long day yesterday. I actually had a long week. I'm sleeping and I'm thinking it's just like somebody, picking somebody up. You know what I mean? And they got the music blasting. And they're out there for an hour and a half. And this is going to sound wrong, but I said to my wife, man, I really would like to just snipe these person's windows out because I can't take it. You know, you're sleeping and you're woken up and you just want to get back to sleep. You got to get up. And that's what I heard. And it was the killer was, it was the same song on repeat over and over again. Over and over. That's torture. If you want to torture people, lock them in a room and blast Spanish music on repeat over and over again. That'll drive them crazy.
Yeah. And it's funny too when you start thinking, why do people do this? Do they think it's okay? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but you have to wonder. It's like, okay, is it something that's cultural? I bring this up because when I work with a lot of people, especially if we do like a QEEG scan, which is a brain scan, we can see how the brain's functioning. We'll use that for our neurofeedback therapies. You can see there's not a lot of activity going on. You say, you look into somebody's eyes and you're like, there's not much going on there. And with some of the brain scans, we'll say, okay, the brain's telling us there's not that much activity, whether they're in a suggestible state or it's a traumatized state or something. The point is as we were just talking about, if you don't raise people, you don't educate folks and how to behave or even just to value knowledge, brain's going to go to waste. You're going to get weird things where 2 + 2 = 5. And a lot of times people are completely over medicated and they're just not there. I mean, we've got a huge problem with mood altering drugs here in the States. And everybody looks like they are, there's no emotion to them. It's like they can't have highs, they can't have lows, and they're always some form of dissociated and checked out, or, God forbid, maybe they're possessed. We got spiritual parasites, we got physical parasites.
How do we get rid of the parasites in Washington, D.C.? That's what I want to know. I want to pivot towards that, right? Tyler, do you have that clip I sent you? I don't know if you got a chance to load it. It's Tom Fitton, and he's talking about this situation in DC where, and it makes no sense, where if you're not a citizen, you can vote in DC elections. That is insane to me. How have we allowed this to happen in our country? And again, I believe it's because we're all hypnotized. I think a lot of us are hypnotized, and we're hypnotized to the fact that none of these things really matter in our lives because all we need is to get our cheap McDonald's food. And
I have it, but it's not a video. It's not a still image. Yeah,
it's an image, but it's Tom. It should be him kind of breaking down exactly what's going on. I think. I hope so.
We have to.
They got their official non-citizen voter registration application. So there it is. The U.S. Capitol has turned over control of its government in part to foreign nationals legally and illegally present in our nation's capital.
How is that even
I tell you,
possible?
our enemies must be looking at an opportunity there.
In our capital.
You know, and I think I remember John saying this, right? Do you remember that a couple of months back when he was thinking about running for, mayor? He's like, I'm not doing that. He's like, foreigners can vote. And I'm thinking, like, is that real? Well, there you go, folks.
Man, I remember you've had people trying to make DC a state for a long time. Yes. And I just see this is just another step encroaching towards, okay, we got the framework. You just need to make us a state now.
It will fundamentally change this country for the worst. You got it happening in Virginia right now with the gerrymandering and basically snuffing out, most Republicans. And I know Republicans, you can see it with Thune right now. They're just as bad as the Democrats. Let's be honest. A lot of them are. And those are the parasites we need to rid ourselves after we get ourselves healthy, right? Or maybe do it in combo, Jacob. Maybe as we're ridding ourselves of the parasites within our bodies, spiritual parasites, demonic parasites, right? Maybe we can all rally together and get behind candidates like Ken Paxton and stuff like that in Texas and take our country back, because I feel like we're barraged by all these negative things, and it's almost makes you feel defeated in a way, and it's purposeful.
A war of attrition. It's designed to break you and wear you down. Very similarly, this is what happens with chronic health problems with folks. It hollows them out. It breaks them down. They lose their identity. They mourn who they once were. And, that stuff can be undone. That's what we specialize in. But it's real. And that long war is the hardest of all, because you don't see how it changes you. It doesn't just let the enemy win, but it demoralizes you, defeats you, and prevents people from ever wanting to return to the freedom and the life that they once had.
Yeah. Let me hit some of my advertisers, which you are one, but let's hit some of the advertisers. And after that, let's talk about, if you don't mind, the effects of vaccines, detoxing from vaccines. And I believe there was a study that just came out that said COVID affects the youth. The COVID shot, I believe, affects the youth with mild carditis worse than any other demographic.
Yeah. Let's get into it, because we've got stuff for detoxing vaccines are just one of the many toxins that we deal with, so I don't treat it differently than other stuff. All
right, let's take a minute to talk about a Patriot Pouch. What is Patriot Pouch? Well, I'm going to tell you what it is. It's a alternative to help you stop smoking and break free of any nicotine. That's right. Tyler loves these things. I love these things. Right? Tyler, are you still on the Liberty Mint? You have to be.
Got 2 in right now.
Oh,
literally.
My 2? Holy Moses, dude, 2.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I've always had 2 chews. If I'm going pouches, I got 2 in every time.
So this product, Tyler, you used to chew regular tobacco, right? You were a big tobacco guy. So is this equivalent, better, and you still get a similar result?
Yeah, it's equivalent to the tea, basically. I mean, there's no nicotine withdrawals or anything like that with this nicotine alternative, which is awesome.
That's awesome. And all you have to do is go to PatriotPouchUSA.com, PatriotPouchUSA.com, use Killer Carl. You are going to get a 10% discount. You can get a 4-pack, and this stuff's affordable, and you're going to absolutely love it. So go there today. Support my man, Alex Duncan. You're going to absolutely love this product. I promise, 100%. And let's take a minute to recognize Meraki Medicinal. It's right here. I love this stuff, right? I love Meraki Medicinal Methylene Blue. I got it right here in my cup. I can tell you, since I've been using this product, it gives me mental clarity, even when I woken up in the middle of the night from Spanish music. And the one thing I love about it is I have not been sick since I've been using it, right? It's the only product that I've used that has kept me from being sick all winter, and I'm in and out of people's houses all week long. I'm dealing with people, shaking hands, and my daughter's been sick. I haven't been sick, right? And it gives me that additional mental clarity. And you too can get Meraki Medicinal Methylene Blue. All you have to do is go to MerakiMedicinal.com, MerakiMedicinal.com. And they also have the black seed oil, cold pressed organic. I'm sure Jacob can tell us a little bit about that. And they have the Meraki Medicinal Moon Cream. My wife and my sister-in-law love the Moon Cream. It is a beef talon mixed with methylene blue. It keeps you youthful and your skin healthy. Go to MerakiMedicinal.com, MerakiMedicinal.com. And also, don't forget about BeyondDetox.com, BeyondDetox.com /Killer Carl. We've got my man Jacob here. Let's real quick just take a phone call. We've got then Leonard on line 1.
Good morning, fellas. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Killer Carl. I just have a comment. Doing great, buddies. I like what Jacob is talking about, but I'm just going to go back to 1970 when I was living in Cuba. Parasites was a common issue, you know, in one of those third world countries, even though Cuba is supposed to have the best medicine, not so. But intestinal parasites was a common issue. My grandmother would go out in the garden, get this vine off the fence, boil it, we drink it, and you were cleaned out. And then walking barefoot was an everyday occurrence. So, you know, we were grounded because, you know, you have good, solid grounding walking barefoot in dirt. And then whatever my grandmother can make, she was almost like a witch doctor, or witch, you know, she can make anything to deal with issues. So what Jacob is, you know, working on is basically the same idea, but probably a little bit better.
Well, yeah, and we've lost that. You know, we've lost what God has given us to heal us because man has tried to play God and reformulate things from nature to heal us, and it just doesn't work. It has adverse effects, as we can see with every big pharma commercial. You know, it's going to heal depression, right? You're gonna heal depression, but you might be suicidal. Or you might be homicidal and go and kill people. It's almost insanity, Leonard.
It is, but it's a good business model.
I guess. Keep people sick. It's disturbing, dude. It's
disturbing.
Disturbing.
It's very bad.
But we've allowed it to happen. We have, you know. I'm a big believer in self-reflection and self-accountability, right? I'm a believer that anything negative that has ever happened in my life is my own doings in one way or another. And I can never stop that negative things from happening unless I step back and I see the actions that I've taken and try to correct them, right? We become, in society, we become so quick to blame other people for all the bad things that have happened in our lives, and we take no personal responsibility. And until you take that personal responsibility, you will continue to have these things happen in your life. We need to start doing self-reflection. We need to start taking responsibility for ourselves. Stop blaming the government. Stop blaming other people. Right? Until we as a society and as each person, and I'm going to recommend everybody do this starting tomorrow, right? It's going to be a beautiful day tomorrow, right? It's a day to spend the day with God, a day to reflect, a day to have Jesus Christ enter into your life and help you change, right? So with that, look at your week last week, right? Look at your life. Look at all the things that have happened to you, and self-reflect. And a lot of times you'll find that a lot of the bad things that happen to you have been blessings, right, in the end. But a lot of those things also are almost like self-fulfilling prophecies that you kind of created yourself, right? Much like when you spill coffee on yourself in the morning and you say, oh, the whole day's ruined, right? You've conditioned yourself to have a bad day mentally. So self-reflection tomorrow. Let's get into these. Let's get into these vaccines and how they're poisoning us in the names of making us healthy.
Yeah. Did you want to read a specific article, or did you just want to let me go?
No, you go, brother.
All right, so let's just talk quickly about vaccines. Vaccines have a particularly nasty effect on people, not only because of the content, because we do have animal tissues, proteins, and proteins are very specific because proteins can cause the immune system to start creating allergies. So we know that we have them from humans. We know that we have them from mammals. SV40, Alex Jones was always talking about that a long time ago. That's a simian virus or simian derived. And then we have human aborted fetal tissue. And then we have things like egg protein, peanut protein, other proteins. And that does play a part.
And you said fetal tissues?
In a lot of those. Huh?
Fetal tissues?
Oh, yeah. Aborted fetal tissues. In fact, I'll read a couple right here. Actually got it on my phone. So we know that there are a lot of these things that are inside of vaccines, whether it's the adjuvants themselves. We know that there's heavy metal, from mercury to aluminum to other things. What makes vaccines particularly nasty is because you are bypassing much of the immune system. The majority of your immune system is in your digestive tract, starts in the mouth, goes all the way down. That is the legal official channels that you want foreign entities to come into your space. When you do an injection,
the other things are exits, not entrances.
Well, exactly, or unauthorized access. So when you start doing injections, which don't get me wrong, injections do have their place. They get stuff into the body really quickly. This is one reason why you put the vaccines in. The problem is you're bypassing so much of your immune system that the immune system that's left when it gets into your body is extremely, it sets off the alarms. It's like if something gets past here, we're going to create a lot of inflammatory states to try to mediate and deal with this. Not only that, you're putting a lot of known poisonous and allergenic substances. They're getting into the bloodstream. That means that they can get circulated anywhere in the body. We do have certain barriers, blood-brain barrier, blood-bile barrier, other barriers, but a lot of times, especially depending on the thing, like the ingredient, like aluminum has an affinity for the brain. Aluminum delivers nutrients up to the brain. That's why there's a lot of aluminum in chocolates, in cruciferous vegetables like broccoli. They serve a point. God made them to serve a point. But these versions are not, or usually aren't organic, or they're not plant derived, which can make them a little more hard to deal with in the body. But the point is, you get poisons that get deep into the tissues because you've bypassed the body's immune system. So the body freaks out. It creates these huge immune responses. And if it goes into the brain, you're going to get a lot of neurological, behavioral, developmental style issues. Now, we see that happen with a number of things. So it doesn't even have to be vaccines. We see this with autoimmune encephalitis. We see this with staph infections. We even can run labs to see staph that's up in the nervous system and in the brain. The point that I'm getting at is when you get poisons that get deep into things like your brain, you're going to have a lot of very difficult to detox and very deleterious conditions that seem like they are unreversible.
Do you think that? I'm sorry. So we see a lot nowadays with autism in kids.
Yeah.
Is that an effect? I mean, you had RFK coming out there and basically alluding to in many ways that it's, could be related to vaccine issues. Is that what you?
It's not a dead ringer. It's not the only issue. It's one of many. What I want everybody to hear me talk about right now. You've got mold. you've got heavy metals, you've got radioactive particles, you've got environmental chemicals, including forever chemicals, plastics, you've got EMF, you've got all nanoparticles, you've got all this stuff. All these are toxic things that damage your body's cellular machinery and damage the organs. So your body is in tons of inflammation, and most of the time the body is no longer in a place where it can detox this stuff on its own. When you have more poison inside of your system, it's going to create a lot of cascading bad effects. Vaccines are very damaging because of the fact that it bypasses so many of your defense mechanisms already and puts those poisons directly deep in some of the deepest tissues that are very difficult to detox. This is why a lot of people don't get better, because they never get the right protocols or the right tools to actually restore their capacity to detox and can get deep in there. If somebody's got a problem in the brain, I've got to work on their colon, I've got to work on their liver, their kidneys, their gallbladder. Then I can work on their lymphatic system. Then I can work on the extracellular fluid that their cells swim in. Then I can start detoxing the brain, because you see, it's like an order of operations. If you start trying to kill parasites without having, like your liver, your kidneys, your gallbladder, and your colon working properly, you're going to have a bunch of reactions. You may even wind up in the hospital with heart palpitations or thinking you got a heart attack, because that does happen with folks. Order of operations, the sequence is important, and you got to have the right tools, because a lot of times people today, the supplements they're taking and the doctors they're working with, unfortunately, they're doing expensive Band-Aids. Vitamins, minerals, IV therapies, things like that, they're all great. They all have their place. But if that's the only thing that you're doing, and if you come off of that stuff and then you crash and you go back to baseline, you did expensive Band-Aid. And that's not how we operate. And so I just look at vaccines as really, really deep poisons that are deep inside the body. That means we've got a lot of very delicate, deep, intense work to do. But do I think it's a forever sentence for someone that has, especially like a neurological issue after a vaccine? I just don't tend to think any of this stuff is permanent. If you lose a limb, we're not growing that one back. But if it's something internal,
science
I think
will
that there's a
figure
lot
that
more
out.
hope. But you have to work with somebody who knows how to do proper sequencing, who knows how to use the right tools. This is why our store on Beyond Detox, we put a lot of tools that we use as practitioners. You'll see a lot of stuff we have is very different than what you normally see, because these are the tools that remove the toxic burdens that supposedly you can't get rid of. Yes, you can. And then people naturally, they just start to heal. They feel better mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And, we work on all those levels.
Let's say, right, let's say somebody goes to your store, right? BeyondDetox.com/Killer Carl. They want to get that 5% discount, right? But they're not 100% sure that what they're looking at is going to work for them. They can just reach out to you, right? And you'll guide them.
Yes, this is the way that we prefer to do. There is a 20-minute free call that people can find on BeyondDetox.com. Just click work with me. We have that there. Carl, for your listeners, we got 50% discount for those that are ready to commit. They'll do our intensive initial appointment. And then we also have full packages that are 4 months with labs, without labs, at a significant discount as well. If you're dealing with a significant chronic issue, while on our storefront, we do have some prepackaged things where people can go through and do it DIY. I always recommend with a significant issue, if you can do it, you want to work with somebody one-on-one, because this is not a straight linear issue. When people start to detox and move stuff out, sometimes it's not fun. I'll even show you real quickly. I didn't get to do this last night, but my hands are breaking out and looks like psoriasis and eczema because I'm doing deep parasite cleansing and heavy metal cleansing. And a lot of times what happens on the inside of the body can end up showing on the outside of the body, such as the skin. And it doesn't mean that there's a local skin issue. It usually means that there's something deep that's going on. And you can freak people out when they do this stuff and they say, well, now I've got these issues or rashes that won't go away. It's a lot of times they've done an incomplete response when doing DIY, or they start getting heart palpitations. That's pretty common with parasite cleansing. People start getting heart issues.
Why is that?
Well, parasites, I'll just say it in general. Parasites are toxic sponges. They absorb a lot of the poisons that are inside of your body circulating through, life, because it's a poisonous world. When you kill them, you're dumping a whole bunch of poisons locally that, their dead carcasses just dump a whole load of trash that can freak your body out. Also, parasites themselves and fungus and a lot of bacteria produce potent neurotoxins that affect the brain, can cause a lot of panic, anxiety, or heart racing and other stuff. It's just part of the beast. It's just part of the nature of healing. And when people don't know that, they will freak out. They will panic. They may put themselves into the ER, and now they're home with maybe, 2 to 5 medications. Now they're on polypharmacy. And unfortunately, those medications have side effects. Sometimes those side effects create secondary illnesses that require other medications in order to balance out. This is how you get trapped in the system.
So I guess my recommendation to everybody is before you go DIY, maybe reach out to Jacob, book that free. It's a free 20-minute, call. Is it video, phone, whatever they want? Or
we can make it. Usually I do it phone, but I like seeing people because we're virtual. I should just say this. We're fully virtual practice. It's one good thing I guess to come out of COVID. So we work with everybody in the United States. We also do a lot of intense functional labs. If you want to know what your toxic burdens are, heavy metals, chemicals, forever chemicals, mold, if you want to do probably the best cardiac panel I've ever seen that can see a lot of the things that are going on, especially if you did get the jab and you're suffering or you're concerned that you've got a lot of cardio issues, we have those deep dive tests that can see that. We can help you with that. But the point is, I like to see people in person. I like to put a name to a face. And you can clearly tell we're here to help. This is a passion project. I was sick myself. This is a labor of love. You can't pay for an education like that when this stuff happens to you. It's different from learning out of a textbook. So we want people to be able to get better. So we put every way we can, DIY, but for some deeper issues, consider looking at our resources on our website. We've got plenty of articles that are put out that kind of help you make sense of what you're dealing with. And then you always can reach out to me. And then I'm still taking on new people. So people that want to work with me, just be prepared. 6 months, a year to improve a lot of these issues. People don't get sick in a day and they don't get better in a day either.
No, it's just like anything.
Do it right.
Yeah, it's just like anything. Your house can burn down in the middle of the night in a split second, but it takes 6 months to a year to rebuild it. It's the way life is, and you want to build it on a firm foundation, right? And getting yourself healthy slowly through a good foundation, working with Jacob. I've seen it myself with Jacob, working with James and Murphy. I've seen the work he can do. So go check him out. Go to BeyondDetox.com/Killer Carl. BeyondDetox.com/Killer Carl. Book that 20-minute appointment. It's free. You have nothing to lose, right? If anything, you're going to get educated on some things that can make a difference in your life, right? And guide you towards maybe even some DIY stuff that he's got on his website to get you healthy, to start that path. Maybe you're not ready to go full in, but at least you can get some guidance, right? Yeah, people are afraid of this
things. Then, if anybody's going to start on one thing, hydroxygen. That's very simple. It's oxygenating the system. People always report consistent energy. That's probably one of the big things that's been helping James breathe. Is we're just getting oxygen that's utilizing the system. And then if anybody wants to try a month of something, we have what's called our Kickstart or our Jumpstart program. It's 1 month. It's 4 supplements there. Add the hydroxygen to it. That's a great place to start. That's where James started. That's usually where a lot of people start. Simple stuff, cleans you out, gets you feeling better, and it prepares you for better parasite cleansing and deeper work later on.
Absolutely love it. All right, now let's not forget about Iron Bean Coffee, ironbeancoffee.com. Get the best coffee on the planet. We'll see you next Saturday. Stay tuned for Godzilla Wins. I'll see you in the chat there. Then we have the golf show coming up after Godzilla Wins, and then the great John Gordon. Right? Stay tuned to the John Fredericks Radio Network all weekend long. We've got the best entertainment. And we'll see you here next Saturday. on the Killer Carl radio show. Thank you so much, Jacob. We're going to try to get Jake Lang next weekend. He did text me. He was running late, but we're going to try to get him in here next weekend and see what happened in New York with Mamdani. Thank you guys so much. Have a blessed week.